Right, I'm now going to show you every tool you're going to need to hang your wallpaper. You might not need every single one of these, but if I show you everything I keep with me, you can decide what you're going to use. So right from the start, we're going to need our scissors. I have a larger pair for cutting paper on the table and then a smaller pair for making small cuts around sockets into corners. Your tape measure, obviously, and then a pencil. I have two brushes. I have a larger one for putting paste on smaller bits of paper than a full length, but a decent size that I'm going to need quite a bit of paste, and then a smaller brush that I'm just going to put behind edges into corners, anything that's lifted maybe, so a smaller brush. I've got my knife. I've mentioned I use an Alpha wallpaper cutter. You can use any good quality snap-off blade craft knife. There's a few replacement blades here in case I need them, but generally one strip of blades will do a wall comfortably, maybe even a room. You shouldn't be snapping those blades. You shouldn't need to snap the blades off too often. I have seam rollers, so I have a wooden one. It's been with me a long time. You can see it's pretty worn, but that's a wooden one. I've got a hard silicone rubber one for more sensitive papers, so you can put a bit more pressure on without damaging the paper. I've got a few screwdrivers here. We're going to take sockets off, release sockets from the wall, maybe take down some brackets, anything on the wall that you need to remove. I've got wallpaper brushes, so when we're smoothing paper down and it's maybe a sensitive paper, something you don't want to stretch or damage, I've got a couple of brushes. This one, as you can see, has been with me probably, I would say, comfortably 30 years. This 9-ring brush. It's good, but it's too old now, but I've got a newer Purdy wallpapering brush. That's for the paper on the wall. I've got my smoothers and my cutters. So these tools here are for smoothing the paper down. And then this one I use, I can smooth the paper and I can make my cuts. I mean, I can do with those, but you'll need different sizes. Sometimes you've got to make cuts into angles and small areas. These different types of smoothers all work. I use this caulking tool to smooth and then cut along my ceiling and skirting lines. Okay, on to our levels. I have a spirit level. I also have something that is invaluable to me, which is a laser level, which helps me when I set up, and I can keep the level on the wall constantly and move it across to make sure every length is dropping perfectly vertically level. I've got a smaller spirit level that I use above doors, around windows. That helps for just small little pieces of paper. And then a few more little gadgets. I've got a little, you don't need these are just things I have and I just thought I'd show you about them. This is a little belt companion that you put on here. You snap your blades off and they're collected in a little tray at the bottom so you're not chucking them on the floor. I always have some strong overlap adhesive in my kit. As you go into internal angles, you might need to overlap paper, and paper sticking to paper is always a little bit more difficult. So these strong pastes, these overlap pastes help with that. I have a wallpaper paste syringe. If you have a blister or bubble in your paper that when it's dried just hasn't gone away, hasn't dried down, you can inject paste. It's got obviously very good, it's a syringe, it's got a sharp tip. That'll go into the bubble, inject your paste in there, smooth it out, and you won't notice any visible marks on the front of the paper as it's a tiny little pinprick. Clean water in a bucket. I've got some warm clean water and a couple of clean, I use microfiber cloths. You can use a sponge, you can use a cloth, it's my preference, but clean water is a must. I probably get a couple, 2 or 3 of those as I go along, change the water, keep it clean. And then your basics, your paste table. This is one that costs a little bit more than normal. It's because I use them a lot, it's got to be more hard wearing, and it lasts a lot longer than the hardboard ones you can get. And then I've got down here, I've got my paste in a roller, and it's on a tub to keep it off the floor. Just a tiny little tip. You might want to lift your paste off the floor because the bend down into the tub starts to wear on your back. So I'll just lift it up off the floor. So I think that's everything you would need. I can't think of anything else you would need to hang the paper. That's everything in my kit. I keep it in a box, take it with me. It's handy to have everything in one place. This is what you need.